Greetings, music lovers. Rick Ferguson, rickfergusonmusic.com. It's wonderful to see you here. Thank you for sharing this video with me that I am entitling Domenico Scarlatti, Radical Keyboardist. And that's not hyperbole. Domenico Scarlatti, born in Naples, Italy in 1685, in that magical year that also saw the births of George Frederick Handel, Johann Sebastian Bach. What a trio. And he lived until 1757, Domenico Scarlatti did, and died in Madrid, Spain. During that lifespan, what an incredible wealth of music was created by him. And he has always been one of my big keyboard heroes, composing 555 sonatas and exercises, esercizi, for the harpsichord, enriching the piano literature many times over. And such an incredibly, not only prolific, because he wrote almost all of his works for the harpsichord in the last 15 or so years of his life, just an incredible explosion of wonderful music for the harpsichord. As a young composer, Domenico was born into an already very well established musical home in Naples. As a matter of fact, his father Alessandro was really at the forefront of the Neapolitan school of composition and the development of modern opera. So young Domenico was steeped in this tradition of vocal writing and had several jobs as a young composer, a young musician. That entailed him having to compose opera, compose sacred music for voices. And I want us actually to hear a movement of Domenico Scarlatti's Stabat Mater, which he wrote in 1715 during the time where he was music director at St. Julian's Chapel at the Vatican in Rome. And this is perhaps his most accomplished work for voices, in this case for 10 voices and instrumental accompaniment. I want us to listen to a movement from this because it really not only is beautiful writing, but it contains so many elements that Scarlatti would later bring to his keyboard composition work. So I think this is a great piece to hear as an example of his younger compositions. This is from a 2013 performance by the Macadam Ensemble under the direction of Etienne Ferchaud. And this is a performance that was sponsored by the Society for Early Music in Nantes, France. And so let's hear this movement from Domenico Scarlatti's Stabat Mater. such beautiful writing. Uh, it was really in his own harpsichord playing, however, that Domenico Scarlatti's true gifts really expressed themselves. While he was a student in Venice in 1705, Domenico met another student, an Irishman, Thomas Rosengrave, and years later, Rosengrave was interviewed by music historian Charles Burney, and in part was really talking about his impressions of Domenico Scarlatti's harpsichord playing. And one of those descriptions that Rosengrave passed along went like this: "It was as if 1,000 demons had been at the instrument. I had never before heard such passages of execution and effect." And we have these kinds of anecdotal descriptions over and over again of young Domenico Scarlatti's prowess at the harpsichord specifically. And it was his ability to experiment and to conceive of various types of effects that could be drawn out of the harpsichord that then work their way into his later compositions. And so this was just an incredible experience, apparently, for all that heard him. Scarlatti didn't publish any of his many works except in 1739 there was in London a publication of 30 of Scarlatti's exercises, which he called esercizi for the harpsichord, and the other 525 sonatas and exercises really were all handwritten and almost all written for his patron and his dear friend, first Princess Maria Barbara of Portugal, later Queen Maria Barbara of Spain. And Scarlatti was in the employ of Maria Barbara for several decades and was not only her court musician and composer, but her harpsichord teacher. As a matter of fact, one of the stories about that time period has Scarlatti apparently being somewhat of a notorious gambler, and he would often exchange newly written sonatas for Maria Barbara if she would pay some of his gambling debts. And so apparently they had a very, very close relationship. The vast majority of Scarlatti's sonatas are written in binary form, in two-part form. And apparently this would allow Scarlatti a certain degree of freedom in terms of exploring certain short musical motives, developing them especially harmonically. And it was his ability to really sort of take a particular motive through various harmonic permutations that was a part of his genius as a composer. And oftentimes Scarlatti's practice was to compose these sonatas in pairs, both in the same key, not only to explore the various qualities of a particular key, but also then to pair them and create a larger work by pairing these two together. Apparently, he also wrote 4 sets of triptychs, more expanded sets of 3 sonatas, but really it was this pairing of sonatas that was his standard practice. So I would like to play for you 2 pairs. The first pair are in the key of D major, Kirkpatrick numbers 491 and 102. 491 incorporates sounds from sort of the martial oriented aspects of Scarlatti's life in the Spanish court. You might hear a little fife and drum, you might hear a little trumpet, you might hear a slight sense of marching music in the background. Kirkpatrick 102 in D major is drawn from the tradition of music, especially from the masked ball. And so it is that type of music. I think it's important to really understand that Scarlatti's compositional process for him, especially during his time in Spain, was very much about distilling everyday Spanish life into his keyboard music and reflecting that back to everyone who heard that. And he developed quite a devoted following in Spain for his music, simply because it was very clear that he loved Spanish life, he loved Spanish culture, and we hear this in his music. So let's listen to this pair of two sonatas in D major, Kirkpatrick numbers 491 and 102. Enjoy. The second pair of sonatas that I would like to share are both in the key of G major. And we have Kirkpatrick numbers 146 and 55. In 146, we have Scarlatti making use of one of his favorite devices to do at the harpsichord, which was the crossing of hands. Apparently, that was an effect that he really enjoyed and got a lot of real positive, a lot of positive acclamation for his creativity in terms of using his cross hands. Apparently, he would write cross hand music very consistently up until a certain point. And then in his later harpsichord works, you tend not to see very much hand crossing going on. And as I was wondering why this was the case, I came across an anecdotal report that apparently, because Scarlatti became such a successful figure in the Spanish court and in Spanish musical life, he tended to gain a good bit of weight, and at one point apparently was no longer able to easily cross his hands while he was sitting at the harpsichord. So that may or may not be a reason why we tend not to see so much in terms of hand crossings. But in 146, we certainly do. In Kirkpatrick number 55, Scarlatti is incorporating some elements of the guitar, the national instrument of Spain. And apparently, during his time in Spain, Scarlatti developed just a deep love of the guitar and guitar music. So many of his sonatas actually are transcribed for the guitar, and they work beautifully. So let's hear this pair of sonatas, both in the key of G major, K146, K55. Enjoy. I hope you've enjoyed these pieces. It is such a labor of love for me to to share them with you. And this will not be my only, by any means, video sort of dedicated to the music of Scarlatti, because I really love his music and I love his story. And for heaven's sake, there are 555 of these sonatas, so there will be more to share. Stay well. If you have requests, let me know. Please feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and keep yourselves well and happy. Bye-bye.